What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Life's a Garden. Today's guest is the most reoccurring guest to be on the podcast, and today is his 7th appearance on the show. At this point, I really don't know how to do his introduction anymore. You've heard it before. If you're a follower of the show, you've seen him plenty of times. He's one of my oldest friends. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Eric Wolf. It is what it is.
Makes me think about one of my coworkers. He's got like a toddler, so we're gonna get him a shirt that says "Breaking Hearts and Blasting Farts."
Oh, that's a good one.
I love it.
I like that. I mean, who doesn't like a good fart joke?
Oh shit!
Oh no, fuck. Some of those have been doing that. I don't know why. God damn it! Here, I'll go get a thing.
I didn't realize that we were going.
Oh yeah, no, we're good. We're going. It's all in there.
Good.
Yeah, it's not the first drink accident we've had on the show.
Now, if people like think that I'm just like being like really like weird and stupid, like just for the camera, now they know I was being weird and stupid just before I even knew we were going. That's just my base form.
Yeah, well, I almost had a guy throw up on the show here.
I probably won't do that.
Dude, I almost was ready to throw up today. First of all, this is it's a very cold beverage. It's a very warm welcome because work, dude, I gotta tell you, it might just be one of those phases where you're at a job for long enough and you just hit a wall.
Yeah.
But work's been just pissing me off a lot lately. And then today, so on top of like, there's all this new shit that they're rolling out. You know, there's a lot of changes happening right now. Mm-hmm. And you know me, I hate changes.
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of my frustration is like having to deal with all these different things. And then this is just unacceptable in general, no matter what. Mm-hmm. We're in the shop and somebody's just blasting fucking exhaust fumes through the shop without nobody opened the doors. Like in the front shop, they have like these tubes that you hook onto the exhaust pipe and it'll filter it out. Mm-hmm. The back shop doesn't have that. So he's just fuming the whole shop full of exhaust. And then I had a headache all day up until I got home. And like I was nauseous.
That's an OSHA violation.
Yeah, and my boss came back and saw that. Was like, what the fuck are you doing? Trying to kill everybody back here? Like, take it outside. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying. And like, it's freezing cold out. Right. So we got to have the doors open to let all the smoke go out. So now we're all freezing, trying to breathe some fresh air.
God.
It's just, that was like the tip of the iceberg today.
You're just like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just hitting a wall because I'm getting pissed off at my job. Maybe I'm overreacting. See, the thing is that they tried to carbon monoxide poison me to death.
Yeah, they tried to unalive me.
Yeah, I know I'm kind of overreacting a little bit here, but like, I'm mildly miffed about that.
I'm a little upset about the poisoning.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that... It was annoying. I'll tell you.
It was annoying to be poisoned.
I was quite annoyed by the whole thing.
It was off-putting.
Yeah, well, at least tomorrow's Friday. Well, I guess as of this coming out, it'll be Monday again, so.
Right.
But right now we're enjoying it almost Friday.
It's been a busy week over at senior, too.
Really?
So, well, we just started the second semester, so everybody's coming in to change their schedules. And
because they're back from holiday break or whatever.
That's been a couple of weeks now, but like, yeah, I mean, you know, it's just kids.
Yeah.
Teenagers aren't happy until the heat death of the universe.
Which is probably sooner than later, I guess.
It's getting closer every day.
Yeah, well, You know what's funny?
What?
I was thinking about this today because just knowing I was gonna have you on,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, oh wow, like this is our 7th time on the show,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, first of all, what's the percentage? You're good at math. What's the percentage of episodes you've been on out of 186?
186. That's gonna be
Less than.
well. It's like it'd be 3.5% if it was 200.
Okay,
So it's a little
So it's
over
more
that,
than that.
like between 3.5 and 4.
Interesting. Yeah, so you've been on 3%.
I'm here.
You might as well just be the co-host at this point.
That'd be cool.
I've thought about it's hard. Like I've thought about doing other podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
It's just tough to like add more stuff to my life as
Right.
far as like scheduling. The only way I could do a second podcast, like let's say we did a podcast, the
Mhm.
only way I could do it is if you did everything.
Right.
Like if I was just one of the hosts or if I was just like part of the entertainment package,
right.
because with the editing and all that shit, it's just a lot of extra shit.
Mm-hmm.
People don't think, even I don't think about it sometimes when I'm editing the podcast
Mhm.
and doing it. It's like on the days I have to edit, it's another 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah. No, for sure. Well, is it all like separate too? Like you're doing the video and you're doing the audio.
No, I just strip
Is it
the audio.
together?
I just do the video and then
Uh-huh.
strip the audio from the video.
I gotcha.
So it
But
just
like,
makes
so like if you make cuts, which I'm sure you don't very often, but when you do make cuts, can you cut them both? Or do you have to like timestamp, like if you cut something off the video and then go to the audio and...
So it's all the same.
Okay.
So what I do is when I edit, I just edit the video. Like I add the intro and I
And the
if
sound all
I
comes
have to
with
make
it.
and if I have to make cuts or like if I have to add like a little clip or something like that, which every now and again I'll do,
Mhm.
then I just do it all in video editing,
Mhm.
and then I'll export the video file, and then I'll put the video file into a separate engine that just strips the audio.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
so
What's the
it's-
program?
What I record with or what I edit with?
Edit.
Shotcut.
Okay.
And then the other one is called you'd think I know by now. I'll have to look it up. I don't want to mess with it just for
Well,
fear
yeah,
of-
I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like, right now, I was just curious.
But yeah, whatever the other program is the one that I just put the file in and it strips it. And
Mhm.
it does it all for free.
I have some video editing software. I can't remember what it is now, but same thing. Like freeware, you could buy it and then you get more features or whatever, but just for like base cutting and like, basic editing stuff.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, if I was going to do another podcast, I wouldn't mind doing it. It's just the editing, because then I have to post it and I have to, it's just a lot of shit
you
throughout the
think
day to
that-
remember.
Do you think that it's harder because you do post videos too? Like if it was just pure sound?
No, well, it definitely adds to it. Yeah, it does give you more to work that you have to do,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to have video. Like,
Yeah,
my video content gets 10 times what my audio does.
right.
Like, it's the I don't know if it's the YouTube algorithm or if it's clips are huge too.
Mhm.
You can like audio clips you couldn't really do. It just doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
Most people want to consume content in like 2 to 3 minute increments.
Yeah.
So if I make a clip, those usually get like over 100 views every time. And then you do see like a small increase in viewers
Mm-hmm.
on each episode every time I post a clip.
Right.
Like you can tell when I've posted a clip.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes just randomly I'll do an episode and the guest episodes kind of vary just because
Sometimes you get super popular people, and sometimes you get Eric Wolf.
yeah, well, I mean you're popular enough to have on 7 times.
I'm the oatmeal cookie of the.
You're popular with me and the show. Maybe not the audience.
Now I got the warm and fuzzy.
yeah.
You're popular with me.
Yeah, well, it's nice having a guest that you could just be like, hey, you want to do the podcast tomorrow? And you're like, yep.
I ain't got anything going on.
So that's always helpful. And I think they're entertaining. I think we do good.
We do great.
But yeah, what was I? As far as like the the guest podcasts,
Mhm.
it depends on their audience if they want to watch. But like I said, the solo podcasts, I don't know what like triggers it to being like I don't know what I have to do to make the viewership go up, because I'll get a random one that just like gets 70 some views in one day,
Right.
and then I'll get some that are, usually I average about 20 to 30, and I'm just like
I think it's like an algorithm thing, and
it is, and I just haven't.
I don't really think that anybody really understands how all that works.
Well, I thought I kind of figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was wrong, but I thought I figured out because I had like multiple videos. I'll what I end up doing is I'll tag the things I'm talking about in the episode. So I'll just tag whatever bits of whatever topics I'm touching on throughout the episode. Rather, some people will just tag whatever's big in the news, which is usually what I end up talking about anyway. But I noticed on several episodes that I tagged like transgender, LGBTQ, like just like click words like that. I would get a lot of views.
Right.
But then,
well, of course, on that.
Well, and that's what I thought at first, but it might have just been a coincidence, because I recently did one where I tagged those things just because it was on my mind. I was like, I wonder. So I tagged them. I even though I didn't talk about any of that stuff, or none of that even got brought up.
Right.
I just was curious. Viewership was still like average.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's so many like little aspects to it that it's probably pretty volatile.
I'm sure some people know the key. I just don't know it.
Yeah. Even then, I bet there's still just some chance that goes into it.
Yeah. But anyway, back to my original thought, which was, I was thinking about it today. We have generally our conversations lead into some political conversation.
That's me.
And we usually, and every now and again we're like, let's try and like just steer in a different direction. Of course, we're in an election year.
I was just thinking about that. Like while I was like getting ready to come here, I was just thinking about sitting down and just being like, well, it's an election year and you got your politics buddy here, so what are we going to talk about?
Well, last time I think you were on was right before we had an election too, right? No, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Last time I think we kind of just stuck to sports and things like that.
Yeah, we stayed away from all that at the time.
So, yeah, so we'll touch briefly on it because it is a hot topic as of right now. And we'll just kind of touch on it. I think it'd be interesting to have you back on later in the year before the election.
Yeah.
Either before or after.
So that I can like blow all of the predictions and
I mean, we could make predictions today that probably won't even remotely, like, God knows what's going to happen.
Right.
I think there's infinite possibilities at this point.
I mean, there is every election cycle.
For sure.
It's fun.
If you say so.
It is unironically like my favorite thing. I mean, and you know that because you've known me for a long time. But like everybody's like, "Oh God, it's an election year," and I'm over like,
I can't. I just mostly hate the ad campaigns.
I mean, I find it interesting. It's interesting to see like what the tactics are, and I mean, you see it.
It's always just. It's never like about the. It's never about the fucking like issues. It's always about, well, he gave money to China companies and
yeah.
He
there's like Tim Sheehy being like, those guys are just too liberal to keep us safe.
Yeah, it's like, what does that mean?
Yeah,
like, what are you saying?
It's tough being liberal. We don't. We love balloons.
You don't like safety.
Yeah, clearly. Coming from like, we don't like safety, says the conservative side. The side that was beating Capitol Police to death and rubbing shit on the walls of the Capitol. Which, don't get me wrong, yeah, we have our side of that too, but
I'm always
who's the party of law and order here?
I'm literally always of the notion. Well, I always like notice in everything, whether it's the right or the left, no matter what issue it is or whatever like is going on, there's always a hypocritical opposite.
Well, for sure.
And it's so It's just funny to me.
Well, and I wouldn't say, because like where that becomes a problem is for people who just simply toe the party line, right? The people who are just like, I'm a left winger, therefore everything that the left wing follows is what I believe. Which, I mean, you know, from when I was a teenager that I definitely like ran in that circle for a while, and that's
I think
fine.
most people
like,
do at that age.
Well, and you're learning.
Yeah.
You know, you can't expect someone like that to really understand the intricacies of politics. But like nowadays, you know, like in my age of reason or whatever I'm going to have that's going to be close to that.
Well, you become an adult, you start paying taxes, you start like dealing with real life issues like that.
I wouldn't say that I've gotten any less liberal. In fact, or any less left wing. I feel like I've probably gotten more left wing, but I'm not a Democrat and I'm not a liberal either.
Well, okay, so for anybody confused by that, explain it to them. Because I think a lot of people think of them being one and the same.
Right. Well, and basically what it is, and when I'm talking about Democrat, I'm talking about like American Democrat. And with and I'm thinking at a globalist standpoint. The globalist standpoint being like, if you look at the Democrats, which we consider to be the left wing here, for the rest of the like developed Western world, the Democrats are like moderate right wing because they don't take on like tax issues. They don't take on the rich. They don't take on anything that's going to be upsetting to like the ruling class.
Yeah.
And they don't really do things that are going to be like what you would typically think of as far as taking care of the people against being like fierce individualism in our legal system. Right. So they are honestly like center right. Whereas, and then, and like, as you move into actual left wing, you get into liberalism, and liberalism is probably like your most like center left, where you kind of start flirting a little bit with that stuff, but you're still not really messing with the rich and doing any of that. And then as you move further, then you get into like the progressives, which are like Bernie Sanders, which are the people who do want to like figure out a way to sort of redistribute the wealth, I guess you could say, when we're talking about 50% of the population having as much money as 3 individuals in this country, and fixing that. Not saying communism, which is further left and like a ways further left, where we take all of that money and we even it out completely.
Right.
And then further down that line is going to be anarchy. But like, so progressivism and socialism is kind of somewhere in the middle of that. And the point of socialism is not to even it out until you get like into late stage socialism, which can turn into capitalism. But you can stop at socialism. And the point behind it is to take some of that money off of the top and use it to take care of the rest of the people. It doesn't mean that we're even. Those people still have more. But we're not talking about the people on the bottom having $0 and the people at the top having, $50 billion. We're talking people down here have enough to live and people up there live very comfortably, but not to the point to where they're like essentially hoarding all of the money, and usually the money that comes from there goes back to the bottom to take care of them. And then obviously we have the middle class, which is what we don't have here with the way that, like, with how we've set up our economic system.
Yeah, with housing markets and with job, like, any of that. We have wages.
We have a system right now, and if you look at things like, so inflation, right? We are always talking about inflation. Inflation always goes up. That's just the way it is. And the reason why it goes that way is because we talk about how companies compete with each other, but they don't really compete to have the lowest prices. They compete to have the lowest price, but they're always raising it. So it's sort of like a competition of who's raising it the slowest, but still driving the market up so that they can continue to make their profits go up. Like think about it. If Shell, the oil company, suddenly decided like, well, gas right now is $3 a gallon. We're going to charge $1.50 for a gallon. Everyone would go to Shell. Yeah. Everyone. They would make so much money. Well, why don't they do that? Because they're all pushing the profits up together. Shell knows that if they just continue to slowly raise the prices...
But there's also... to that, though, there is laws against doing such a thing. Like you have to have a competitive market. It can't be like you could there's people that could probably like, you know, let's say somebody makes it's the same thing as like knockoff brand stuff, you know? Like you couldn't sell a knockoff brand thing in a store.
Honestly, I mean, kind of no to both of those things because
I thought isn't there laws against, you know, like
there's laws against price gouging.
Price fixing.
I mean, maybe to some extent, but honestly, that's really not necessary. Because the thing is, I mean, think about it. If we wanted gas prices to go down, this is the best way to do it. If people were all competing to have the lowest price, they would drive it down. The thing that would govern it would be the price would be the price to make the product, right? And ship it and do all that stuff. So, you know, in our example with the gas prices, like the money to ship it and the money to like, you know, harvest it from the earth and all that stuff, that the price per gallon is not going to go below that. In fact, it's not even going to become equal to that because then you're not making a profit. So everybody's going to want to make a profit, right? So they're not going to drive the price too far down. But if they're all competing to have the lowest price, then somebody inevitably is going to be the one that's going to like drive it down and make it more affordable for everyone because whoever has the lowest price is going to get the most customers.
Right.
The thing is that they don't do that anymore, especially in that example being the gas prices, because they've figured out, and this is the case for anything that you need. So being food, water, talk to Nestle about that. Like feminine hygiene products, internet, like medicine. All of those things. Yeah. How could I forget? Big pharma. But the thing is that what's going to make you more money? You driving your price down or calling up everybody else that's selling the same product and saying, hey, let's all raise our prices together. Why would you set your price down and get all the customers when you could double your price and then everybody profits?
Well, and all that would be fine if they would actually like, if the wages matched.
Well, yeah, and that was the thing, because we did just say, because this whole started like talking about inflation. And that's the thing. If you look at here, there's two graphs that are big. So inflation, like we just talked about, which is completely fabricated. Inflation is not a real thing, honestly. And then the other one is productivity. And if you look at the graph of productivity, it is skyrocketed. It like since forever, like from the baby boomer generation to now, productivity is just going up. So tell that to the people who always want to spout the line of no one wants to work anymore. Our productivity is exponentially rising. And if you look at either of those graphs, inflation or productivity, you will see that they go up at a pretty steady rate and our wages stagnant.
Well, and you can tell by the fact that you got, you know, single parents have to work two jobs in a lot of cases, or there's very rarely a two-parent household that both parents can't, like they both have to work.
They have to. And you think about like in the 50s and the 60s.
Yeah, the idea of a stay-at-home mom wasn't necessarily because, you know, they didn't want to work. It was because they didn't have to work.
Well, and not only that, but it was the fact that they got to like stay home. They got to take care of the house. And importantly, they got to raise the kids.
Yeah.
When you're sitting here and you're thinking about, if you think about every problem that America is facing right now, honestly, you can tie it all back into the conversation that we have. You can also tie it back to education, but that's a different conversation. But for this one, if you have a system where only one person needs to work and can take care of a family of, and let's be reasonable about it. It doesn't have to be a family of 8. Let's say a family of 4. You, your wife, 2 kids.
Yeah.
And I think that that's reasonable. Mm-hmm. You know, 2 or 3 kids, we can even say. And if you have it where you can do that on a singular income, then mom is there, she's taking care of the kids. There's somebody who's actually like watching what they're doing. They're, you know, like the education is being taken care of. Their morals are being formed by someone who's at home trying to take care of them. And then they're not just kind of left to do whatever they want and kind of be their own like moral compass, which kids can't do, especially if we're talking like young kids, 12, 13, 14-year-old. They're not ready for that kind of responsibility. But they have to, because your options right now are not stay home. Like, that's not an option. So your options are to find somebody who can raise your kid, which is scary because you're always hearing about bad things happening to kids when you do that. And then same thing with daycares. So what are you supposed to do? There's really no answer with where we're at right now.
Yeah. Well, and so just with all that being said, you know what pisses me off the most about it?
What?
Going back to education, going back to... I don't disagree that there's clearly a disparity in wage and in our economic system and things like that. The fact that we can print over $100 billion and send it to another country and not put it back into our own country. And I'm not saying, here's the thing.
Okay.
I'm not saying we shouldn't send money to other countries. I think that, I mean, that's a whole different argument in itself. The fact that we're so capable of just printing $100 billion and not using it to help our own country.
The thing, though, like, I'm assuming that we're talking about Ukraine.
Yeah.
Here, or
wherever.
Israel,
It doesn't it could be wherever,
but,
yeah.
I mean...
It's not the first time we've done this.
I mean, here's the thing about that. We didn't send them dollars. There's nothing that Ukraine can do with dollars. We sent them that value of... Or, like, that value of military equipment.
Yeah, but that money comes somewhere. Like, the buck gets tossed somewhere.
Honestly, dude, with, like, all of that stuff came out of the military budget. That stuff is already going there. So if you want that to change, and what you need to do is you need to cut the military budget. You need to put it somewhere else, because that money was going to the military anyway. And probably...
I don't know if we have $100 billion in the military budget.
Oh, absolutely.
100 billion?
I mean, maybe not like over the course of one singular year, but the thing that you gotta understand too is that we put so much money into the military that they just like make shit. Because we don't just give like a blank check to the military. We say you get this much money for equipment, this much money for recruiting, whatever, and then they use it. Obviously, they're not just going to let it go to waste. There's probably expiration dates on that stuff and everything. So they sit there and they build tanks and they build missiles and they build all this stuff. And we don't use any of that stuff. We use a little bit of it. But there's so much missiles and tanks and just bullshit that's sitting in warehouses. And we're not even we're not like maintaining it, because there's no point in maintaining it. Because by the time you build it and then set it in a warehouse for a while, something comes that makes that thing obsolete. So we have like just a shitload of equipment that's just sitting places. And here's the thing. That's the stuff that's going to Ukraine. We don't give them the best stuff. We didn't build tanks and helicopters and drones and missiles and send them over there. We took our surplus and said, here you go. Here's $100 billion of surplus stuff that we have that you can fight Russia with. And we've seen how effective that is at Russia. We're not giving them our best stuff. That's ours.
Okay, well, if I didn't really know all that. But even still...
I do understand what you're saying.
We did print that money for like those checks when like the COVID stuff, like the COVID relief fund, and so you know about the Fed, right?
Yes.
Where it's not a U.S. It's not a federal. What's the word I'm looking for?
Like agency.
Yes, it's not like it's a private agency.
Well. You're never going to get me to You're never going to have me argue that private sector stuff like that.
And it's absolutely the craziest thing that we do. Like the debt that we owe, like our national debt, mostly is to the Fed. Like, yes, we owe to China and we owe to there's a lot of debts we owe.
Yeah,
but most of it's to the Fed, and it's impossible to pay it back because it's being paid back at interest, and the only way to pay it back is to print more money.
Well, and you can't do that because every time you print another dollar, you
right. Well, no, and
all you do is diminish the value.
Of course,
the dollar.
Yeah, and I get that.
So, like the answer, because that's always what people think is just like, well, why don't we just make more money? Well, you can't. It's not how it works.
It doesn't help though that we have so much money that's going out of country and things like that.
Yeah, sure, but at the same time,
it's literally almost impossible to know how much money, like U.S. dollars, are not in this country.
Yeah, but all of those things, and you're not going to get a staunch argument from me on this because I mostly agree with you. I don't love being in everybody else's business. I feel like I'm probably relatively more isolationist than most people, like within the American political system. Outside of certain things, I will back the Ukraine thing to the ground because that's not a war about Russia and Ukraine. That is a proxy war that is being fought between like East Asian imperialism and Western democracy. That's what that war is about. It's just being fought in that specific place.
Well, I don't agree with that either, though.
How so?
I don't agree with war.
Well,
like I don't like.
We didn't start the war.
I know.
So here's what your options are. One, you allow a Russian imperialist to roll in unchecked in a place that is strategically important, and that is a thing about Ukraine. It is strategically important because it is a place that is a bastion of democracy that's right next to Russia and very close to China and all of those other countries right there that are our enemies. It's sort of the same thing as Israel, but there's a lot more to that one. But like the thing is that here's why I'm saying that I feel like it's a proxy war. And I'm sorry that I sort of kind of cut you off. Let me just kind of like validate what I'm saying, and then we can talk about it. It is a proxy war. It's about the things that I'm saying, and here's why. Because we know that Vladimir Putin is not somebody that just wants Ukraine. Because we tried that already when they took Crimea, and we were just like, okay, well, you've got Crimea, but now you have to stop. Well, it's not going to stop. He's careful about touching the UN countries. Clear proof that the UN is an important thing. But every other country, he's flying planes over Sweden. He was flying planes over Finland. They're now a part of the UN, and all of a sudden he's hands off about that stuff. But he wants to spread as far as he can get. And once he becomes powerful enough, has enough of that, has enough resources from like the lands that he has and everything, then he can start looking at going against the UN. And that's World War III. And you're looking in the other side of it, when we're talking about East Asian imperialism, we have China, right? And they're licking their chops over Taiwan and everything that's going on there, like crushing the Hong Kong rebellion and all of that stuff. And all of this is basically testing to see what the line is for us, because we're the ones who are trying to stop that. And I'm not going to sit here and act like America's hands are clean. I don't agree with our foreign policy either. But in this case, we can't just allow, like, the imperialists to just go and do their thing unchecked. And that's the point behind what's happening with Ukraine. If we just let this happen, it's a problem that's just going to continue to propagate, along with the fact that Ukraine is an important area for us.
Yeah, I mean, when you say it like that, I do get it. I still like.
Nobody likes it. Nobody wanted this to happen.
Right.
We tried. Like, this was something that was brewing. I mean, it's been brewing since the Soviet Union fell, obviously. But we saw this stuff that was starting to happen. And when when Obama was in the White House, we were trying to keep that stuff under check. And then you see Donald Trump come in, and I'm not going to get too tinfoil hat here, though I don't really think that it is. But if you look at, like, the language that was being used when he met with Putin at Helsinki, you could see that there was a very clear, like, if nothing else, there was some adulation on behalf of Trump towards Putin. Trump wants to be an imperialist. He's been that way since forever. That's the point behind building these giant monopolies. So he sees Putin who's doing it. He wants to be like that. He wants to buddy up with these kinds of people. So what was happening during Donald Trump's presidency? Well, they were building all of their stuff, and right there towards the end of his presidency, they lined their entire military on the border between Russia and Ukraine, along with Belarus, who's an ally, getting ready to just start invading. Now, they were banking on Trump being able to win, and then they were going to be able to go in relatively unchecked. He wasn't going to stop them. He wants to be like them. He's not going to fight against them. So that didn't work. They still began their campaign anyway, because They put all the money into it. They mounted everything. And they didn't expect that we were going to... I imagine that they didn't expect that we were going to react as strongly as we did. And that Ukraine was going to be as good of a fighter as they are. But, like, the thing is, going back to, like, I started this because we were saying, we didn't want this. We don't like this. I'm not happy about it. But we didn't start it. They did it. And now we have to react if we're going to stand against imperialism, which we have to.
Yeah. Okay, well, I get that. I mean, I'm not... It's funny because, like, I've always, like, had a weird, like, mindset toward war. Where, like, I'm understanding of it sometimes, and then sometimes I'm just like, I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I don't want to, like, support it in any way, very hippy-dippy sometimes about it, but...
No, I mean, and I agree. I mean, I started this whole thing by saying I am isolationist, and now I've just been sounding like the biggest war hawk ever in this one singular scenario.
I think most of it for me, when I think about it, comes down to civilians. And it's like, it just feels like so often civilian casualties are such a thing.
But what do you think in this scenario? And like I said, now if we go and we talk about Israel, I'm going to completely flip the script on that. I'm going to be right where you're talking about. I think the whole thing's bullshit and we should just be done with it,
right,
in my opinion. And mine's not a professional opinion. I know more about Ukraine than I do about Israel, but whatever. Like, with this one, and maybe what it is that, like I said, I look at it and the civilian casualties, if it was going both ways in a very equal way, then you can look at it more in the way that, like, we do for Israel. But the thing is that Russia is just basically, like, just blanket bombing the entire country. And that's kind of how they started. They're not doing that in a response to Ukraine's resistance against them. That probably heightened it. But this is what they were going to do anyway. And the verbiage that that Russia, Putin, the military had towards this when their campaign was starting was one of saying, we are going to wipe out everyone in Ukraine who doesn't support Russia. And outside of people like on the Russian border and people who have family in Russia and stuff, that's everyone. So this was a genocide from the start. So we could have done, one of two things. We could have allowed it or we could have fought it. Either way, it's going to be a massive human toll. But with our choice, we fought against imperialism rather than allowing it to just continue unchecked. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely not a Putin nor what's it,
Zelensky?
No, the China guy.
Oh, Xi Jinping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not like not a fan of neither of those dudes.
There are enemies.
Oh, yeah. Which is crazy because
we talk about.
But you know what's funny?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But it's now again. This most of what I say is just stuff I'm reiterating things I've heard. So I don't know where the truth lies. As like trends are going, China apparently is on the downswing of being a superpower, and India is on the upswing.
I don't know enough.
Same with Russia. Like Russia apparently is on the down, like in trend wise, like based on, I don't know if it's like technological advances or if it's like, their population.
Probably some of it too is just overall influence.
Yeah. I think whatever it might be. Like U.S. has never wavered in these, but
we're the richest country.
Well, of course,
and money has a lot to do with all of this.
Money and guns, like it.
Sure. I mean, our little like pop guns that we think that we're going to defend this country with as civilians isn't it? But
yeah, but like our
military spending, like we talked about, we make so much weapons we don't even know what to do with them.
At the same time, we are the most armed country in the world by civilian.
I don't think that makes a major difference if somebody decided to invade.
I think it definitely could. I think it makes a bigger difference than if you don't.
I mean, sure, but I think it's negligible.
It could be, but it's
with a semi-automatic AR-15. I mean, those people would be rolling in with M16s, tanks, helicopters, drones, missiles.
But I'd rather I don't know. I mean,
I guess once again, same thing that I'm saying. You'd rather mount a resistance than just lay down and take
right,
it.
right. I mean,
I just don't know how much of a resistance we're really
sure,
mounting
but
with
it's
that
better
shit.
than nothing.
Sure.
In that, if you want to like look at it in those terms, like if we were going to be like attacked, at
if
least
we're going to be invaded, then
right.
Sure.
But anyway, that's totally neither here nor there. I don't even remember where I was at. Oh, like China and Russia are apparently on the downswing of their like, and maybe that's why they're trying so desperately now to like expand or to like push their influence or something like that. But I know, what was it? It was India and another country. I'll never remember what it was. It was actually kind of a surprising country, if I remember right, that was on the upswing. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It was India for sure was one, which I think, didn't India surpass as the largest country by population?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think they did. But it was India and somebody else, and we'll have to look it up after the show. But I'm just curious now who it was. But yeah, so anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's tough to say because I don't know enough about India. I know that they're not particularly friendly with us, and it seems like for the most part, like Eastern European or Eastern Asian countries do kind of align more in the realm of imperialism. You know, I mean, Japan was very much the same way until we obliterated them.
I don't know if India is necessarily an enemy country, though.
I don't think that we're friendly. I don't know if I would necessarily say that they're an enemy, but I think that they would probably break against us before breaking for us. I don't know. I could be completely wrong on that. Like I said, foreign policy is not my bailiwick.
Me either. I don't, like I said, I just hear what I hear and I kind of try and figure out the truth in between.
Yeah.
You think
the stuff that I said about Ukraine is just kind of stuff when you know, I've looked at the statements that have been made.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do the CNN thing. You know, I used to be a big MSNBC watcher. I honestly can't even remember the last time I looked at any of that stuff. Usually what I try to do, and of course you read articles. I mean, you have to.
Truth Social. Is that where you're getting your stuff from?
Fuck yeah.
That's where they tell the truth.
You want to know something really funny about Truth Social?
What?
So, obviously Donald Trump's website.
Yeah.
Fake Twitter. So I don't know if this is still the case. It's probably not. But like a couple months ago, the Biden campaign made a page on Truth Social, and there was at least a time where Biden's campaign had more followers than Trump's campaign. Not Trump's private account,
right,
but his campaign account, or his like campaign page, had less followers than Biden's campaign page on Truth Social.
Well, I mean, I guess ultimately that's, yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
Right,
I just thought it was funny.
It is funny. That is ironic.
So, but anyway, no. Like, you know, I mean, I'll read articles, and reading articles means probably from most places, which are going to be things that people criticize, being like CNN and the New York Post and all of that stuff. But I mean, honestly, I just basically read anything that like has a headline that's interesting, and then I look at it and I see if the writing is quality or not. And usually I'll read it and I'll see, and then I'll kind of dig deeper. And what I've kind of decided is like the golden standard of a source is trying to find the actual like things that the people are saying, you know, you can talk about context,
right?
But a lot of times there are things that if a person says them, you don't necessarily need context, unless if the context is, I'm about to say the stupidest fucking thing in the world, and then they say the thing, and then you go, oh my god, I can't believe they said that, and then you find out. That's not usually what happens.
It's the only thing with, like, whether it's, you know, it just sucks. It's the thing I hate the most about just, like, media, and it's not even their fault. It's literally, like, I get it, it's a business, whether it's, you know...
Well, that's what the problem is.
Right, whether it's visual media or written media, whatever it is. It's
having it be corporate.
Yeah, it just sucks because it's all about views. It's all about, you know,
profit.
Yeah,
it's about profit.
And they know the thing that gets people to read. Generally speaking, is like is outrage.
Well, it's like clickbait topics
Yeah.
and fear and outrage
Right.
and all of that kind of stuff. And I mean, sure, whatever, but like, I think that if you're going to be like a reactionary person, then you're right about that.
But I think most people are. I think they know that the majority of the audience is that way.
Well, isn't incredibly politically involved.
Right.
And I mean, yeah, I mean that's a problem. That's like a central piece of like political issues within this country. Like when I like political issues being like the like what feels like the bubbling like civil just like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like all of that stuff. But like no. I mean, I think what the gold standard is to try to find where people said the things.
Yeah.
You know, for example, you know, like I've seen articles about, you know, like things that Joe Biden said in his past that are like racially charged things.
Yeah.
And I'm not the person to say, "Oh, it was a different time." That's not an excuse to me. You know, and I've seen those things, and yeah, it gives me pause in regards to wanting to support someone like that. The flip side, you have Donald Trump, of course. I saw him just the other day. I watched the video of him talking about it. It was a speech that he was doing in somewhere, Oklahoma, I don't even know. I can't remember, but it was somewhere where a school shooting had just happened recently. So basically anywhere. And he said, and I watched him say it, I heard him say it, it wasn't AI. He was like, it was a horrible thing that happened. You know, you just can't believe that something like that happened here. But you've got to get over it sometime. You know, and this was like in a context of probably talking about like gun control or something like that. Like, I don't know what the context is, but here's the thing. I don't really need to. There's no context at which standing in front of a community that's reeling from having a bunch of kids getting shot and killed and saying the words, "You need to get over it," is ever going to be good.
I mean, we could just go back and forth on crazy things that politicians like,
right, and those are just two
Trump
those
or
are just
Biden.
A couple of,
they both
of
say
examples.
crazy fucking things, and like have said, and the other thing about just in the past and stuff like that. There's not a politician on earth that hasn't contradicted themselves throughout their like political career. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not saying
some more than others.
Most more than others.
Oh,
like,
definitely.
I think there's less who have consistently stayed true to their beliefs than the other way around.
That's one pull for Bernie Sanders.
I agree. I was gonna say Bernie. He's always been pretty consistent, but he's an outlier in that.
I can't really think. And I mean, I'm trying to, honestly. I can't really think of anywhere where I can say that I know of him being inconsistent. That's not me saying that he definitely never has.
Right.
But
like I said, and who's this new gal that they just trotted out of the middle of fucking nowhere?
I'm not sure.
What's her name? The Republican chick.
Nikki Haley?
Nikki Haley.
So Nikki Haley was she was part of the Trump administration.
Yeah.
She was the ambassador to the UN.
Okay, yeah. Well, I just saw like a huge compilation of like her contradicting a ton of things.
No,
that
she's
she said.
garbage.
Yeah.
Did you see the question where they asked her what the Civil War was about?
No.
So straight up, somebody goes. It was during like a town hall thing in like New Hampshire, and she thought that she was going to have friendly territory there, which is weird. Like they're a blue state, not the bluest, but they are blue. And a person in the audience asked her, what was the Civil War about? And she started talking about economics, and she started talking about, you know, people wanting to live their life the way that they wanted to, and liberty and all that stuff. And the guy was like, what did he say? He said, that was a whole lot of words. Not a single one of them was slavery. And Nikki Haley was like, I don't know what you want me to even say about slavery. Next question. And like,
see, it's so clear.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's funny because it's like it's just so not. It's right in your face where it's like she's clearly like just being trotted out by the Republican Party to be like a puppet. Where like
to be like anti-Trump, but still kind of Trumpy, but also
that's literally a ploy by a
woman,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, these broads.
Well, the thing, no, it's not anything like God forbid a women have hobbies, but like,
No, I'm saying I was gonna say these broads think they're gonna fucking win the presidency. I'm kidding.
Dude, women can't be. You know what? When we talk about context,
yeah. I mean, if
I was gonna say that though,
if Hillary didn't, I don't know. No,
Like-
I'm kidding. I'm obviously joking.
yeah, no. The thing that I was gonna say, it was actually said by somebody that we used to work with at Olive Garden, who was a woman. I don't know if you want me saying names on here,
might as well
but
not.
it was one of the servers, one of the longtime servers.
Okay,
that was like one of the closers.
Way more obvious.
Well, no, that still narrows it down to like 4 at
Okay,
least.
okay.
I'll tell you her hair color. I'm just kidding.
Her last name.
Yeah, her social security number was, but no. So like, during that election cycle, that was Hillary and Trump. I don't remember how it came up, but like I was talking about it. Surprise, surprise. And she came up and she was like, she said to me, she goes, "You think a woman could make a good president?" And I was like, "Sure, like why not?" And she was like, "No, a woman can't be president." And I was like, "Well, why not?" And she was like talking about, like emotions and just not being able to do it or whatever. And it was so surreal, like listening to a woman be sexist against women. It was weird.
I don't know if it's. I mean, I don't know if it's sexist to say that. If
It's like definition of sexism.
Well, she didn't say they couldn't be president because she's a woman and like she's.
Well, no. She was saying that a woman can't be president because women are too emotional and couldn't handle it, which is saying that women aren't capable of being president.
I'll tell you. Well, okay, I was gonna bring this up at some point because. So it's funny you even bring that up. Have you seen? There's like a very recent like trend in certain. I mean, everything's usually on the internet or on different podcasts and things like that. Is usually how it gets like shown out anymore. But it's becoming like not a big trend, but it's like in a small group. There's a lot of women who are literally advocating that women shouldn't be able to vote for that exact reason. And I was thinking to myself, we are living in the fucking upside down.
Well, you know what though? Here's what I think about that, because I've seen a little bit of that stuff.
Yeah, right? Isn't that like...
But no, I don't think it's weird at all. Because here's what it is. It's propaganda. Those women are being paid to say that because they're trying... And this is a thing that's happening across social media.
So you don't think there's actually women that think that? I mean, obviously there are.
I mean, I think that there are, but I think that it's way less than what's being represented.
Of course.
And it's being represented that way because here's the thing. It's being done by conservatives. It's the same people who are propagandizing college and just education and stuff, because what they're doing is they're trying to dissuade any voting demographics that are bad for them. So the idea, they're doing this, like, the reason why I'm saying this is because they're doing the exact same thing to Gen Z. Gen Z is just coming into age now where they are going to become a political force to be reckoned with. And that is bad for conservatives because Gen Z, not really into Christian fascism, surprisingly enough. So what are they doing? Well, there's tons and tons of influencers that, are like from Gen Z that are being paid to go on TikTok and shit and tell other Gen Z kids, politics sucks. You don't want to be involved in that. None of those people want to work for you at all. Like, just don't. And they don't say it that obviously, but they just sit there and they talk about how politics sucks and it makes people fight. And,
I mean,
what's way cooler is anything else. And are some of those statements true? Well, yeah, that's why that stuff is so powerful. But there's only one way to change that, and that's to be involved in it. And our generation recognizes that. Gen Z and the baby boomer, or Gen X and the baby boomers definitely understand that. But right now, like, with how powerful social media is and stuff right now, that's a very powerful tactic against Gen Z right now to keep them from voting.
Is there a lot of proof that they're being paid by these, or is that just like an assumption?
No, I mean, it is a thing that's happening.
I'm sure it's happening in some sense, like in some cases, but I think there's definitely a group of influencers that have their own opinions that they...
Well, no, and there is, but there's a lot more. There's more of that than like there is a lot of that where it's being propped up and pushed. I don't have like my book of sources in front of me right now, but I've read a lot about this. I've read about it with just overall like trying to instill apathy in the young generation about politics. They're doing it for colleges, basically saying, and I've seen Ben Shapiro doing it, and he knows because he is a college graduate, who talks about college being terrible, even though like he wouldn't be where he is without it.
Yeah, but
he sits there and he talks about how college is brainwashing people and it's not about education at all. It's just about certification and stuff. And you can, if you describe it in a certain way, you can make it sound like that. It's not the truth at all.
You don't think that there's some level of indoctrination going on in...
No, absolutely not.
None.
No.
Like, even though there's like these certain studies, like these gender studies and things like that aren't really necessary.
Well,
you don't think that,
like,
you don't think professors have influence on the students and don't push their influence ever?
No, I don't think that.
So just, this is an example.
Mm-hmm.
How do you explain Harvard, one of the most prestigious colleges? It's not just Harvard. It's a lot of these Ivy League schools,
Yep.
Yale and stuff like that.
Yep.
Chanting death to Jews.
That never happened.
It did.
I mean, the protest thing did, but that's its own thing.
And they're harassing Jewish students at the schools. Like, there's videos of this happening.
That's students.
Harassing students.
I mean, yes, it's students harassing students.
Right. Where do you think they get this, like...
Oh, they all come in with their own attitudes. The college didn't teach that.
Okay, but what about... Okay, and you're probably right. I wouldn't... But don't you think they maybe facilitate the, like... What's the word? Like, they
facilitate that attitude?
Or prop it up as, like, okay?
No.
Like, well, they didn't denounce that was a bad thing that they did.
There was a lot more to that whole story than just simply them just being like, well, no, that's not a...
And the director stepped down because of all that.
The director stepped down because of the constant bad press. It was easier, and you see this with companies all the time too. It's easier for that person to just take the fall.
But why couldn't she say that what, like, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Right? Where she couldn't say that.
I'm not like...
She couldn't denounce that
I'm
was
not,
a bad thing.
Immensely, like, abreast of that whole situation. I do know what happened, but I'm not like, I haven't read everything about it, but excuse me, I don't know if that got picked up. Like, I understand what happened there, and basically it was that this thing was happening, and then she could have said something better, and she didn't. And I mean, so sure, she ended up biting the big one for it. A lot of times...
It just seems kind of crazy that you couldn't just say, like...
I think one of the problems here is that it's the same thing for companies, it's the same thing for high-level, like, people within the media, celebrities and the like, is that when it comes to any of these kinds of issues, especially if it's religiously charged or racially charged or politically charged in any way, is that you have to try to figure out the safest answer. And her answer to that stuff was overly safe. It was essentially one of both sides are bad and both sides have some good to them, and didn't really, like you said, didn't denounce something that obviously should be denounced.
Right.
Like, there's a huge difference between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism, regardless of how much people are trying to say that it's the same thing. There's a big difference. And what was happening there was anti-Semitic. And that's a problem.
Right.
From what I understand, from what I've read about the whole thing. And she didn't want to step on either side's toes.
But can't we agree that's pretty fucking crazy that stuff like that was happening on, like, the most prestigious institutions' campuses?
Absolutely. And it did need to be...
And you know what? I'll backtrack. I will backtrack just a little bit. Mm-hmm. I stand by my statement that I do think, I don't, I haven't been in every classroom in every fucking university. Mm-hmm. I think it's a little bit much to say that, they're teaching certain things or they're influencing certain things professors and whatnot, or like classes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I do think colleges facilitate a certain level of group think.
Okay.
And that's not to say that that's not already just going to be implemented in general. Like if you're in a group of people, you're going to have a group think. It's
okay.
like, you know what I mean? If you're in your workspace is going to generally have a very like similar group think. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you're in the same group of people long enough, eventually you're going to somewhat be on the same page. Does that make sense?
Right.
And universities are no different. High schools are no different. You know, things like that.
Or communities, or
Right.
churches,
Right.
or companies, or
So-
neighborhoods.
But in certain instances, I do think, and I don't know if it's because they're being, you know, they're making money from these students and they feel like they need to, you know, back them up, or if it's, you know, just if it has something to do with the way you look socially, like they're trying to like have a certain standard the way they look in the eyes of the culture. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But it does seem like in certain cases they do facilitate certain things being okay, like in this instance,
Mm-hmm.
when it probably shouldn't be. Just to advocate, or just to like be on the side of the
Yeah.
students that are paying them a lot of fucking money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, in regards to the Harvard thing specifically, it does seem like a ball was dropped. I would want to review exactly what she said before saying a whole lot more on it. As far as like what you're saying there, well, okay. As far as the colleges like supporting things that maybe they shouldn't be supporting, I mean, I don't really know, because usually colleges don't need to get involved in this kind of stuff. They don't usually have those kinds of issues on campus. Usually what they do is, from what I've seen, is that they'll support like student movements because it's a matter of them growing as young adults, unless if they're violent, which it seems like the Harvard thing was. Once again, it seems like a ball was dropped. But like, they'll usually support a political movement or something as long as it's not harmful or intimidating to anybody else.
How about when like certain speakers will come on and they get intimidated to leave, and there's no denouncement of any of that?
I think that it's okay for the student body to be able to speak on behalf
But
of
they're
their
not speaking, they're
values.
like physically being intimidating.
I mean,
In certain cases, I don't.
I haven't seen too much of that. I've seen a lot of protesting and a lot of them like trying to block the entrance for that person coming in. And when we're talking about somebody like Matt Gaetz,
I don't know who that is.
So this is one of the big examples of this happening, is that Matt Gaetz, who's a representative, I think, pretty sure,
Okay.
representative from Florida, known to be liking women of a certain age, not a legal one.
Mm.
It's known. Another thing that he's done, and it's known, is that he's taken these these girls, and he's moved them across state lines. And that's human trafficking.
Yeah.
Even if you're not selling them, that's still human trafficking. These things are known. He's had like trials about it and stuff, like, and has essentially been like settled out of court, been protected by Congress, stuff like that. But it's not like really up for debate that he's been doing these things. He went to a high school where he was going to be talking to high school aged girls, and they needed to like come up and like ask him to like sign recommendations or whatever or something. Like, they specifically created an environment where underage girls had to go and talk to Matt Gaetz.
Yeah.
I mean, publicly, but it's weird, right? And so there was a huge like protest against this, trying to block him from coming in there. And in this case, he's dangerous. It makes sense, right? But like, when you have people like that, or if you have people who like are actively like denouncing colleges, or are counterculture, or just deemed problematic by the student body of that college, they have every right to protest. And
Well,
protesting,
sure, I don't disagree with protest.
and that's what's happening. And they block the entrance, and they might push back. I mean, when we're talking about violence, like, they're not attacking these people. They're not like fighting them or shooting them or doing any of that stuff. You know, I mean, sure, there is a level of intimidation. That's something that just happens with a protest. It's intimidating to have a large group of people who are against you and needing to stand in front of them. And if they're going to make it so that they stop this person from coming, which is what they want to do, and they have every right to do that, then intimidation is going to be a factor. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, on the flip side, it would be fine if it was the other way. Usually it's not. Usually it's people like Jordan Peterson who are being run off of college campuses because people don't want, because those people don't want people like Jordan Peterson talking at colleges. He can find plenty of places to talk. It's just not going to be at one of those, at an institution of learning and scientific knowledge. That's how it works.
I mean, I don't know that he's not qualified.
I think that he probably was at some point. But the thing is that for people who are psychologists, educators, therapists, doctors, any professional, one of the expectations that is laid on your shoulders is to continue to grow with your practice, with your mindset, and just everything, like new practices, new knowledge that has come out from new research and stuff. And he refuses to do that. His attitude towards like clinical psychology is one that mirrors the attitudes towards it when he got his degree. And I can say that from a standpoint of, I'm going to have my master's degree in psychology at the end of spring. So I know about this stuff a little bit. I don't know as much as he does because he has a doctorate, but it was a long time ago. If he was somebody who was actually committed to being like a growing professional that like cared about, or that really actually cared about the topic of psychology, he wouldn't have the attitudes that he does right now.
Doesn't most of his speaking anymore kind of lean more toward like motivational speaking though?
I mean, he sells those books.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, for what he actually does, that's literal psychology, I don't really know a whole lot about. I mean, I know who he is as a public figure, which is the person that he's created of himself.
I think a lot of his image has been created for him, too.
I've seen the things that he's said.
And?
I mean, he's talked about... I mean... we don't need to get into like the specific topics, but no, like he's chosen to be what he is.
Okay, but like I've never really heard anything I disagreed with.
I mean, I think that probably says like, you know, I mean, that like speaks to your values.
I just don't, yeah, I mean, but I don't think he's ever really said anything that was like just so off the cuff that like.
Depends on your values.
I guess. I mean, it just seems crazy to think that, like, he's an extremist.
Socially speaking, like, and we're talking about the community of people, like college people.
Right.
Of, like, future professionals, academia, and stuff like that. And in that realm, he is an extremist.
Well, I think that speaks to their character, too.
And what's wrong with their, like...
Or not, character might not have been the right word there.
But their values.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, more than anything, it has to do with his views on...
sensitive.
Huh?
I think in a lot of cases, I mean, I think the attitude on campuses is very sensitive.
I don't think that's the case at all.
You don't think they're sensitive?
No.
Like, so if I... Well...
They're passionate about their views.
And if you go against them, they usually are very upset
are resistant to you.
Yeah, well, I'd call it like upset.
They're not hurt, they're angry.
That's kind of like, but so you can't like
they're not crying about it. They're looking at, I mean,
sometimes.
I mean, when Donald Trump won, sure, but like when it comes to like defending you know, certain topics, then like no, they're just like, you can have, like, for the most part, like...
I think there's a difference between passionate and level-headed. and reasonable.
Level-headed doesn't mean that you need to accept every viewpoint,
Yeah,
especially
well,
if
you don't
viewpoints
but
are
you can,
harmful.
you can also you can conduct yourself in a very like professional manner.
But you don't have to.
Yeah, but like, what does that say about you?
It says that you like actually mean to assert your worldview,
But you can do that in a professional manner.
but you don't have to.
Sure, but like, I mean,
It's sort of like protesting.
okay, well, it's no different than like a kid can throw a tantrum in a store, but he doesn't
Oh,
have
it's not
to.
about throwing a tantrum.
No, I'm just using it as an example. I'm not like saying they're the one and the same. I'm just saying there's two ways to go about it. You can be upset and not throw a tantrum.
But if you're going to take somebody that has harmful views, now he can say whatever he wants, and generally speaking, I mean, he does. He says what he wants every single day, and for the most part, people don't care. But then when he's going to show up somewhere and think that he's going to give a speech and spout his bullshit, it's not surprising on either side, whether you're a hardcore, like, way extremist left wing or a way extremist right wing, if you're going to go somewhere where that view is not, or where people aren't friendly to that view, you're going to get people that are just like, no, get the fuck out of here.
I guess I am. Here's another thought. I also think it's somewhat harmful. I don't know if it's harmful or if it's just like, it's kind of short-sighted to shut out any views that you don't like. Like, why not like open up yourself to, like, even if you disagree with it and you think you're going to disagree with it, like, you're completely shutting yourself out of the possibility that you might not. If you're just like, no, he says things I don't like, I'm not going to listen to what he says.
I mean, it depends on what it is. And like, I think that for the most part, if people like, there are plenty of people that don't have like all the correct views or whatever, that are still like, well liked. We're talking about a specific person here.
But it could be any number of people. Mm-hmm. Like,
generally speaking, if you're going to go around and you're going to say a lot of viewpoints from a certain area or from a certain perspective, like Jordan Peterson coming from a conservative perspective, or anyone from a liberal one, like Taylor Swift, for example, generally speaking, those people are going to end up sort of being relegated to a certain audience. People who,
but don't you think it is kind of healthy to have an open dialogue about different topics that maybe you don't agree with?
Well, for sure. I mean, you and I do it all the time.
Yeah, and
I think that plenty of people do. There are people on both sides that
they
aren't good about that. And is that healthy? Well, it's probably not. But to some extent, like, I don't really I don't listen to Ben Shapiro because there's no point.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying that you should just like force yourself to listen to things that you don't agree with, but to like, here's the difference. Like, I'm not telling you should go listen to all of Ben Shapiro's stuff and like try and like understand him. But if he were to come in, this is just the example. If he were to like say, hey, I want to have a sit down and just like have a conversation with you. If you're like, no, I disagree with what you say, I don't even want to talk to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that I would be fine with that, but I wouldn't. But if I was still like, a student at a college.
Yeah, just don't go.
I wouldn't want him to be there.
Well, just don't go.
And the reason why is because...
Okay, but here's another thing. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Why does a certain body of the student speak for everybody? Don't you think there's probably some students on that campus that want to hear it?
Yeah, but they're there.
So why does this certain group get to decide for everybody?
I mean, they don't. Generally speaking, when these things happen, those people end up speaking anyway.
Okay, but I'm just saying,
they just made their viewpoint heard.
But
other people made their viewpoint heard by buying the ticket and sitting in the chair.
Right.
It was different, but they both equally made their viewpoint known.
Okay. We're not running out of time, but there's just a lot of things I want to touch on still. And we got to talk about some other things other than politics.
Damn it.
But this is going to be a long one. This episode's going to be kind of long because there's a few points I want to get to. But let's kind of like not spend a ton of time on each of these. I just want to get your opinion and your take.
We're just bullet pointing.
Kind of, yeah.
Lightning round. Let's do it.
What are your thoughts on like all this Epstein stuff that's starting to come out?
I'm not surprised by any of it.
Yeah.
It's pretty much exactly what I expected.
It's Yeah.
Surprise, surprise, people in power are shit.
Yeah. Do you think...
I'm not surprised to see Donald Trump's name on that list. Not surprised to see Bill Clinton's name on that list. They're both gross.
Yeah.
It's just how it is.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy to think, like...
It's nice to have another list with which we can cross-reference the character of the people that we decide to follow.
There's a lot of people on there. Like, if it's, like, a lot of the names that are on there so far doesn't implicate them quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, dude, if we get that flight log list...
Honestly, like, the fact that the list... If any names are on that list... That's already pretty bad. Like, the fact that they're even close.
That's what I said before.
I don't even really care about the flight list. At this point, if they're on the list,
if your name,
they might as well have done it.
If your name is in... Well, okay, so here's just a quick example. Mm-hmm. Because with names being brought up in these documents, there was one instance where one of the victims mentioned that Epstein had said... I can't remember which celebrity. It might have been like Bruce Willis or somebody mentioned that
whoever
just brought their name up in conversation. Didn't mean that they were they didn't see them there. There was no mention that they even knew each other.
Yeah. I mean, I think at this point, if your name shows up on the list, then you better hope that there's a victim that's ready to vouch for you. Because until that happens, fuck you.
Yeah, you don't want to be in the same vein as that.
If you're hanging out with this guy, then maybe you should have thought about keeping back. If you were hanging out with this guy but not engaging in that stuff,
you're a victim.
Maybe you should have kept better company.
Or you're a victim.
Yeah. Well, you're either a victim
or a perpetrator.
Or even if you were innocent to the bad stuff, but you were still hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, it's not like you didn't know. So even if you're not engaging in it, you're still condoning it. And that's better, but not much.
And I guess I shouldn't speak out of turn because God knows that flight log list may come out. Mm-hmm. And I think part of the reason it hasn't yet is because
there's a lot of people keeping it from coming out.
Now,
I'm praying that it happens.
Me too. And here's the thing. Agree or disagree. That list comes out and proves, some really like dark shit. Yeah. By a lot of very powerful people in the corporate world, in the political world, in the celebrity world, in all these major high-end areas. Does it absolutely rock the foundation of all of it that we know it as it is?
Nope.
You don't think it changes like anything? I don't know, man.
You know why? Because... we just had a guy talking about, we had a hot mic saying that he was actively molesting women.
Who was this?
Grab him by the pussy.
Oh.
We had all of that stuff. We've had all of this. And that, right now, so his name has been on some of those lists. There's a reason why I'm bringing this up, and it's not just to bash on this fucking guy again. But, so his name was on the list.
Came up in there, right?
Who?
Brock.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, think about it.
I'm not happy about that one either.
No, not at all. But just for the Trump supporters, so his name is on the list, and they're all going, well, it just means that he was around. It doesn't mean that he did anything.
Well, and I think that's how.
And so they're using this mental gymnastics. But here's the thing. Here's the reason why I think that it doesn't change anything, because they're going to say, no, he wasn't doing anything. And then if they're like, okay, yeah, he was, then they're going to be like, oh, well, obviously he had to do it a little bit to show, to be trustworthy, but he was really trying to break it up. And then eventually, if we just keep going down this line until it's just like, no, dude, he was fucked up. He did this stuff and liked it. Then they would just kind of be like, well, I don't care. I'm voting for him anyway. I think that that's how it goes for any of these people. Oh. So for me, the answer to your question is no.
Yeah, but that doesn't change what
people are so cult.
No, and that's in the eyes of the public, sure, but I mean the law.
In the eyes of the law, what's the law going to do to those people? I mean, what's the law ever done to those people?
I mean, if there's proof that they're, I don't think that you can just let that slide. How could you let that go?
Can you let it slide that we were selling nuclear secrets to foreign adversaries? Or if not nuclear secrets, they found them there. Yeah. But if not nuclear secrets, here's one thing that I can tell you. Some of those documents that were found at Mar-a-Lago were related to espionage in Russia, okay, are spies. Shortly after all of those documents went missing, a bunch of our spies started going missing and started ending up dead. It's not a fucking coincidence.
Sure.
Right? So, like, that's a big deal, right? And if I did that,
but there's no proof.
I would have been beheaded by now.
That's the problem, is there's no, like, yes, it's suspicious. Yes, there's clearly something going on.
Look,
but
here's the thing. We know that, like, how far does it have to go for proof? Because here's the thing. He had the documents there. We know that for a fact. Foreign dignitaries went to Mar-a-Lago. We know that for a fact. We found documents that were in the same files as the ones that had the espionage files. That's a fact. So, and then those people, those dignitaries, after they visited Mar-a-Lago, then all of these spies started going missing and dying. That's a fact. At what point can we say there's an obvious line here? We don't need to have a video of him handing the documents to them to know that something happened. If we know that they were taken, they disappeared at the same time that a bad dude was at the place where those documents were, and then bad things happened that only could have happened if foreign people had the knowledge from those missing documents. But
isn't that
no consequences?
Isn't that still kind of an ongoing thing, though?
I mean, the fact that there's really nothing that has happened means that this shit is just going to blow over. And I don't know. The documents thing is not over yet. But, I mean, it's just one of many, many things.
Pedophilia is kind of a different vein, too, though.
He's been through several of those, too.
Pedophilia?
Sexual harassment, but he's, like, we are having victims from Jeffrey Epstein and otherwise who were underage at the time that they're talking about the things that happened, that are coming forward and talking about this heinous stuff that he's done. And those are still in court. Obviously, we have just talk at this point. But there's a legion of people who are just like, eh. Well, and there's really no, like, legal movement on any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, there's been so many celebrities. If we're going to, like, just swing off of right-wing stuff, we'll go to left-wing stuff. There's been several celebrities in Hollywood that, I mean, there's child sex rings in Hollywood. Oh, yeah. It's well known, and it's known who's a part of it. Ashton Kutcher has been a big voice in telling you who this is. And what has happened to those people? Nothing.
I mean, what's his name went to jail? Danny Masterson. But
that's one.
That was a different thing. That wasn't even actually underage stuff.
Yeah. I mean, this stuff, like, I mean, and here's the deal. The reason why is because there is 2 tiers of justice in this country, and it's only based on how much money you have. Those people who are on those lists are high money people. And you know what they probably have? If nothing else, they have dirt on everybody else. So nothing's going to happen to them. It's not going to shake up the political world because it's so religious at this point, or so culty at this point, that it's not going to. The only way that those people get fucked is if nobody votes for them anymore. And they're just going to continue voting for them. So nothing's going to happen there. Nothing's going to happen to the corporate world because those people literally run this country. Who's going to do anything to them? Nobody. And, like, nobody, because the people who would have to do it are the people who are in charge. Who are in charge? Them.
Well, okay,
and the other one is celebrities. Most general people don't even want bad things to happen to the celebrities that they adore.
So you don't think if that list came out and it showed substantial proof that, let's say, the head of this corporation or this politician or this actor, engaged in these activities, you don't think the vast public would stop buying from that company, stop voting for that politician, stop going to those movies?
No. I mean, here's what'll happen. Some of those politicians will lose their job. It depends on where they're at. If you're in the South, they're fine.
You really don't think that they wouldn't, like, the general public?
I think some of them would have some trouble. Other ones will just say it's bullshit and people will believe them. So that's for the politicians. For the corporate owners, the investors will force that person out of their position. And by force them out, I mean that they'll probably still have a high-ranking job in that one. They just won't be the CEO anymore. They'll get paid a massive bonus and they'll just go off on their way and be rich. Celebrities, Yeah, they might probably have the worst of it.
All right, next topic. The Jews are in the streets. What the fuck is going on? The tunnels in New York? Did you hear about that? Like,
yeah.
what
I don't know a whole lot. I don't know
fuck
enough about it.
is going on in New York City? We got
I don't know enough about it.
we got the Teenage Mutant Jewish Turtles. Like, did you see the video of the dude getting pulled out of the sewer?
Yeah, I've seen.
Dude, he's coming up out of the
things.
sewers, and the greatest part about it is they're in full Orthodox Jewish garb.
It's weird.
It's
like,
really
the stuff
weird.
coming out of it is like almost comedic looking.
I didn't know if you actually I don't know jack shit.
I don't really know anything about it.
I just know like it was like an FBI type search raid.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, there's a couple of thoughts at play, and they all, a lot of them are pretty dark.
I was gonna say I don't know if you want your voice speaking those things on the air.
A lot of them are pretty dark.
Yeah.
And Epstein-like.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say that.
There's clearly something going on. I'm just going to leave that one to the FBI. I don't know enough.
Somebody made a pretty valid point today in saying, I don't know what's going on, but all I know is no time when there were secret tunnels was there anything good going on.
That's fair enough.
It's like, I don't remember a time where there was tunnel, unless you were a child digging a snow tunnel, there wasn't a time when tunnels were good.
Yeah.
So I just didn't know if you actually knew about that, and I just thought that was kind of a funny point.
Sorry that I don't know more.
Yeah. What was I had a joke like that I was saying. I said it was fuck. Of course I'm going to forget it. I was going to say, that gives me the heebie-jeebies, the Hebrew jeebies.
God.
Okay. One last political thing, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
And we'll make this fairly quick. Who are going to be the candidates?
Biden and Trump.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have this dance again?
Yep.
And do you think... So, okay.
Biden is not going to be primaried.
What does that mean? Oh.
Like, they're not even going to have a primary.
Okay.
So
that's already decided?
Pretty much. I mean, I don't know if it's been announced or anything.
That's going to be tough, man.
But
so
I think that it's honestly going to be a lot better than you think.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How?
So, file away anything that you've heard about Joe Biden as a person.
Yeah.
Okay? Politically speaking, his presidency has been really good. Like, really, really good. Unemployment has gone way down. Inflation has gone
way up.
Down. It's actually gone down. It's down to 2.4%. The thing is that companies have realized that they can just continue to charge that price because people will continue to pay for it. But the actual inflation itself has gone down. The only way to solve the price problem now is to regulate businesses. You know who doesn't want to do that? Not Joe Biden. He would like to do that. He can't. Not while we don't have the House.
I don't think we've had the last, have we had a presidency where it was all one color?
Yeah, well, I mean, Biden had it for the first 2 years. Obama had it for the first 2 years. That's the only way that we got the ACA out, the Affordable Care Act, is by having both houses and the White House. It does not happen very often.
Okay, let me ask you this. And be honest with me.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it's Biden and Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Now, first of all, isn't there a whole thing with Trump where it's they're trying to block it? And it's...
That's not going to go anywhere.
I didn't think so.
So basically what it is that this third section, I think, of the 14th Amendment basically says that you can't hold office if you have ever incited an insurrection. Now, he did, but since he didn't literally say, go do an insurrection, guys, that'd be neat, it's just not going to work. So, right. But that's the reason why this has happened. Very professional, intelligent, and unbiased judges have removed him from ballots because of the language of that, saying if you've incited or helped incite or shown positivity towards an insurrection, essentially. That's not the actual verbiage, but basically.
So Has he been removed in those?
He's been removed in Colorado, and
You don't think more places will follow suit?
well,
with
no,
that?
other places are going to try, but here's the deal: it's going to the Supreme Court.
Oh,
That's where it will die.
okay. So anyway,
So the only way that he ends up not being the candidate, basically, Biden's going to be the candidate unless he dies. That's basically the only way that happens. And
then it's going to be Kamala Harris, which
No.
it would have to be.
she wouldn't be the candidate. They would probably try to have a primary at that point. Kamala Harris is not a winning bet.
Yeah.
Now, if he wins and then he dies, then yeah, she becomes president. I don't even really know enough about Kamala Harris. She hasn't ever done anything.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
Well, she just... I mean, I don't know.
She says crazy shit too.
She's weird. But,
She is
So-
fucking weird.
here's the thing. The only way... The only way that Biden isn't the candidate is if he dies. Is really the only thing that I see, or if he steps down, if he says no, which he's not going to. The only way that Trump isn't is if he dies, if he steps down, if the Republican Party tells him no, which they're not going to. If the 14th Amendment thing works out, which it won't, the Supreme Court's going to say no to that, or if he goes to prison. And we have many things that he could, like the documents thing, things related to like the special counsel with Mueller and all of that stuff, but that's not going to go anywhere. The election interference thing, the fact that he was on the phone with the Attorney General of Georgia saying, hey, we just need to find 10,000 votes or whatever number, like basically pressuring him to cook the books on those numbers. That's a crime. Like that's the only ways that he's not it, because like we just did the Iowa caucuses, the most important thing, and he like just I mean you know exactly what happened. So yeah, he's the candidate for them.
Okay. Now here's my question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you truly believe that this is our two best options in this country?
Absolutely not.
We're fucked.
You know who chooses the candidates?
The parties.
Billionaires.
The parties.
Yeah. And who are they run by? Billionaires.
Yeah.
They don't pick the people that are the best for us.
Of course
They
not.
pick the people who are the best for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Bernie Sanders wasn't the person going up against Trump in 2016, because they didn't like that. He'd have won. How would he have not?
Right. Well, he won the people's vote in that. It was all about the what do you call the super delegates?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then after that, the second time that he ran last election cycle, he won the first two primaries and quite well. And then the DNC told everybody except for Biden to, or like, everybody except for Biden and Sanders, they told everybody else to drop out and put their support behind Biden, which consolidated all of that vote against him, while kind of destroying the motivation of the Bernie Sanders supporters who had already seen the bullshit from the 2016 cycle. And that's how he ended up like getting primaried by Biden.
Now here's a thought. Shocking ending to all this. A twist ending. Trump and Biden become the candidates. The Epstein docs come out. They're both involved. They're both out.
Trump stays in.
Why? What if I'm just saying? What if they both are like seen like, and it's like, I'm not saying they go to jail. I'm saying what if they're both implicated in the Epstein stuff? What if Epstein comes back and it just like saves the election? I'm kidding. But
like he comes back from the dead?
No. I'm saying, okay, let's just say, for instance, this whole shit comes out and they're both implicated to a severe degree, not to the point that they find legal.
So like Biden gets fucked because the Democrats aren't going to be cool with that, and Trump gets fucked because everybody besides the base isn't cool with that.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about it's to the point where it's what's the
like undeniable.
They're ineligible to be president because of the severity of the.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? What if?
Okay, yeah.
Is
that what you're asking me?
I'm just saying, wouldn't that be crazy?
Oh, that'd be wild.
And I'm not saying it's impossible because the powers that be who want to control the way the election goes could do that.
I don't even know what they would do.
I don't either.
Like, I know what the Republicans would do.
They'd have to have an emergency.
They would just pick whoever was second. They would just pick Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis.
Okay, or what if here's another thought. They do the election. One of them wins. Biden or Trump wins. And then it all comes out. And then whoever the vice president is, or, let's say the vice president was involved too, then the Speaker of the House would become president. First time in history. I don't know. I'm just thinking of some crazy possibility.
Yeah, I mean, that would be after the election.
Right. But then they'd have to be impeached.
It would be after the certification,
Right, but then they'd have to be impeached.
Or they would step down.
Or that.
The way that, Nixon did.
Right.
And then, then it's just going to follow the order of power.
Yeah.
If it's before that, they put up Haley or DeSantis, which
they're both
gross, man. God.
You know who I actually like?
Who?
And they'll never get
Ramsamy. I don't know what his name is. I've only seen it written.
He seems all right.
I haven't seen enough about him. I don't spend a lot of time caring about him because he's not going to be the president.
It's just, well, and that's what's unfortunate is in a lot of cases, guys like that fall under the radar. And it's just, he just seems smart. He seems like a good statesman. You know what I mean? Political views. I mean, he talks about how, the Republican Party's kind of just a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, he talks about how, the whole political system needs to be revamped, and of course, that's not going to win you any votes.
Well, it's not going to win you any nomination from the RNC, that's for sure.
Or either. Yeah, no matter what you say, either way. All right. What the fuck's going on with Dali and Achuskin?
Well, okay, so I'm sure that you've seen that he's entered the player assistance.
Yes.
Which, generally speaking, is what people do when they're, struggling with addiction.
He's a fucking alkie or what?
Did you see you saw everything that happened with him last year.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if he's addicted, he might be addicted to prostitutes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
that was him, huh?
Yeah. But honestly, I would imagine because this is a huge problem. It's a massive problem in the NHL. It's probably alcohol or drugs.
Pills.
Because there's a lot of that in the NHL. I've seen several articles. Remember Colin Wilson, who used to play with us?
No.
He played for a couple of years with us. He wrote a big article about how badly he struggled. And there were some nights when he was playing with the Avs and Nashville before that, where he barely could even tell what he was doing because he was so strung out.
They're all a bunch of fucking pillheads. They're cutting lines with their skates.
Yeah, when they do the stops, that's not ice that's spraying.
Yeah, it's Coke.
It's just straight crystal meth.
They're just right into their faces. They're
God. I mean, it's not funny, but Sam Girard just came back from being in the NHLPA for his addiction with alcohol.
Jesus.
Apparently clean now.
They're all a bunch of fucking alkies.
It's hard, man.
It probably doesn't help that most of them come from European countries where alcohol is very normal.
Well, and I think,
and then you get a little fame and all that shit,
I think too, there's a lot of expectations on them. It's not exactly a secret that being a professional athlete on the international stage is kind of stressful.
Yeah. I was just curious. I wasn't sure if there was a specific
They haven't said.
Okay,
and it's really up to him as to whether or not he wants to say or not. The NHLPA won't say.
Won't out him. Lehkonen.
Mm-hmm.
What's up with him?
Injured.
Okay.
He's going to be back soon. He's been traveling with the team. He's been skating. He's doing good. He's going to be back any game now.
Landy
is skating.
Is he?
Non-contact jersey. Here's the problem. Don't get hopeful. Coming from a huge Landy fan. He's my favorite player on the team after we lost. Yeah. Should have brought mine. Coming from a huge Landy fan. He's my favorite since Varley left.
Figured you liked that he was on there.
It's so cool.
Anyway, sorry.
His surgery, which I don't remember exactly what it was a knee surgery. And and it was like cartilage replacement or something like that. There's been other athletes that have gotten this surgery, ended their career every single time. There's not a single athlete that's gotten this that has come back from it. One of that Denver radio show that I listened to in the morning, they talked to a basketball player that had gotten this surgery, and they asked him if they thought that he'd be back, and he was like, nope.
Shit.
So, shit! All that shit, bro! Fuck! Oh, fuck me! I'm not saying that he won't be back. I mean, obviously medical stuff is advancing all the time. And like they sound very optimistic about it. He is skating, so they're seeing, but I don't know if he'll be back. If he does come back, I don't think that he's going to be the same player.
Fuck.
I'm not doing it again.
Anything else in the hockey world that we need to talk about? Hey, how about them Bucks?
Yeah.
I know that's not hockey, but
yeah, no.
they actually have a shot. They really do. Like, obviously, this will come out. We'll know after this. Like, by the time this episode comes out, we'll know the result. But I mean, legitimately, they have a shot to beat the Lions. Like the Lions,
so?
Yeah,
they're heavily favored.
Really?
Oh yeah,
I don't get that.
They're
at
favored
all.
by like 6.5.
That's not that heavy.
It's said.
That's crazy. Like a heavy favorite would be like 10 points. It'd be like 9.5.
Yeah.
I mean, a touchdown isn't.
I think it was 6.5.
I mean,
last I saw,
it's a favorite, but it's not. I wouldn't call that a heavy favorite.
The article said heavily favored.
I mean,
I think that it said 6.5. I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty sure.
The way the Lions played their last game and the way the Bucks played their last game. Obviously, the Lions have home field advantage.
Well, and to be fair, I mean, we kicked the ass of the injured Eagles that were on a 5-game skid, from what I understand.
Yeah, but I thought their starting quarterback wasn't going to play. He did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like,
was that detrimental though?
No.
Like, was he good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I did watch.
Yeah, no, I thought I think it was just a poor game plan. I think the Bucks played a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
and you can't put up a score like that and say that they didn't play well.
And I think the Lions are definitely good, and I'm not saying that you guys are for sure going to win. I just think you're not playing. If you're playing the Niners, I'd give you a snowball chance in hell.
Yeah,
like the Niners are tough, but you're playing the Lions.
Yeah,
a team who has very next to no playoff experience.
Right.
And the Bucks do.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm certainly not trying to say that I think that they can't win.
It's definitely helpful to be to be hopeful, ignorantly hopeful.
Yeah,
because then don't get your expectations too high, I guess. But it's pretty cool that they've gotten this far, even honestly.
Yeah,
when that division was like,
I didn't really expect that I had kind of been like started to get to that point towards like the middle of the season when we were really struggling of just being like, yeah, I mean, we're probably not going to make it. And that's okay. We're clearly not ready.
If you would have told me...
We actually have the longest active streak for making the playoffs right now.
That's crazy.
Isn't it weird?
That's pretty cool.
It's cool.
Makes sense. I probably would have guessed the Chiefs.
That's just what I saw.
Maybe in the... Yeah, no,
no, I think it is just in the NFC.
Okay.
Come to think of it.
So... if you would have told me 2 months ago that the Buccaneers were going to beat the Eagles in the playoffs, I would have said, fuck you. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's
helped that there was injuries.
Well, of course, but, like, that's any game. Like, injuries are a part of the game. Refereeing is part of the game. Like, you have to beat them to win. Like, you have to overcome those things to win. And you have to, and that's just part of the game. I'm sure the Bucks have certain injuries on their team that made things more difficult throughout the season, you know?
Right. We were just a healthier team when we got there, you know?
You still got to perform.
Right.
Still got to coach well. You still got to execute the game plan. You know, it's all still part of it.
Oh, I'm not trying to take anything away from them. I'm just saying it feels just a little disingenuous to be like, dude, you beat the Eagles. We beat most of the Eagles, you know?
They had most of their team.
Yeah.
They really did. Like, They had their one of the best starting O-lines in the league.
Mm-hmm.
They had their starting running back. They had not their starting wide receiver, but they had the rest of them.
Yeah.
Quarterback, that's big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, not trying to take anything away from them. Like, we still won that game and played well.
Like I said, I think he got a shot to really actually go to the NFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm. That'd be cool.
We'll see what happens. Last thing on the docket, and I'm going to let you pick this.
Okay.
We got to do a top... Do we normally do top 3 or top 5?
5.
Okay. Let's do a top 5 because I like doing these.
Okay.
You picked the topic, though. You picked the category.
Oh, man, you put me on the spot.
Because I think last time we did video game consoles.
Mm-hmm.
We did a couple of them, didn't we? Not maybe it wasn't last time.
We did do a few. We did like cartoons and stuff.
Yeah, we did. Yep. We did cartoons. We've done. I think we did video games.
Like singular?
Yeah.
Because I think that a much better list is video game franchises.
Okay. Let's do that.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your top 5.
Okay.
Do you have it already? Have you already kind of thought about this?
God, it's hard because like there's so many.
I got 1, 2.
This is tough for us, right?
Yeah.
Like without any.
Yeah. This doesn't have to be. Yeah, this is just our personal.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't like what we think the world would think, or this isn't like, yeah. So 1, 2, 3. There's people. There's gonna be.
I've got 4. Like so, when I'm saying that, I'm meaning like, you know, I'm not gonna put Call of Duty on mine. Like,
right.
You can sit there and like I'm not gonna put like sports games or anything like you might, and that's perfectly fine. But like, you know, you could say like, dude, Call of Duty should really be on that list. But if I was gonna say like objectively top 5. It might be. Yeah. So would FIFA.
Right.
But FIFA wouldn't even be in my top
1,000
million. Like, I can't imagine. You know, so...
Okay. I got mine.
Okay.
Go ahead. You want to start?
You start since you've got it.
Okay. I'm going to start with my number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck. Now I'm just thinking of other games. You know what? I got to back off on... Like, I got the rest.
Okay.
For me, I'm going to say number 5, this is going back to my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Crash Bandicoot.
Cool.
I've always liked Crash Bandicoot. I thought those were fun games. Spyro was a close one in there.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think if there's any other, like, yeah, I'm going to go with
games,
that.
Both of those.
You know what was going to be my 5 until I
rad.
remembered Crash Bandicoot?
What?
Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal is a cool
so,
game.
Honorable mention to Twisted Metal.
Mm-hmm. All right, my number 5... And I know, dude, I'm totally going to like look back at this and be like, oh, I forgot.
Know, same here.
You know. So, but for right now, just for the sake of time, here's my number 5. My number 5, and it's pretty personal, is going to be Mega Man. And I really am not crazy about the Mega Man games. However, when I was like 10, I got, it's called Mega Man 03. And it was like the first game where I became like fully invested in the story. I was thinking about it all the time. Like it was just this, I mean, it was a super like just immensely formative experience playing that game because I felt like the story was really cool. The characters were cool. I would honestly tell you, because you know that like I really like to make up stories and do all that stuff. Like I do the writing and, you know, I've tried to like make video games and I've done all this shit. And I would honestly say that playing that one singular game is probably the root of all of that. Nice. If it wasn't for that, I don't think that I would be half the creator that I am.
Nice.
So that's why that.
Number 4 for me is going to go to Halo.
Okay.
Because I feel like I should have a first-person shooter on there because I did spend a lot of time doing that as a kid.
No way. Do a third-person shooter. And make it Gears.
Gears is good. Gears was on my list, and so would, like, I never really got into, like, the Call of Duty games and anything like that.
Yeah.
But, like, Splinter Cell was one that I played a lot. And it's, the Halo thing mostly comes to, like, me and Brad playing it a lot.
I've straight up never played a Halo game.
I bet you'd like it. I mean, you're not much of a first-person shooter guy.
I really don't like shooters that much.
think
but I don't hate them. Like,
I think
I
you
played
would like.
Fallout and stuff.
I think you'd like the story.
Yeah, no, I think that I'd actually really like it too. I know a bit about it. I've just never played it. Never like really had an Xbox for a major amount of time. Okay, my number 4. I'm gonna really out myself as a Nintendo fan here. Like throughout this whole list, my number 4. Jesus, it's all so hard. Yeah, okay. My number 4 is Dark Souls.
Nice.
It's such a cool game. There's no games like it at all. And the fact that it's basically like Dark Souls has created its own genre. You always hear about Souls-like games, and you always see people that are comparing it to it, and it's well deserved. Those games friggin' rock, man. They're so much fun to play. And you know me, I don't even like hard games. I get pissed off when games are hard, but this one, it just works.
Nice.
So there you go.
Number 3 for me, and I think this might come to a surprise to a lot of people, why, like the fact that this is as low as it is. But the reason I'm putting it as low as it is because it used to be a lot funner, and now they've really like kind of ruined it in a way. But I still play it. It's still fun. Not as fun as it used to be.
Yeah, I'm gonna lose my mind if you say what I think you're gonna say.
Madden.
Oh, okay.
What'd you think I was gonna say?
Well, it might be on your list later, so I'm not gonna.
Madden.
Okay.
Because it's just not as good as it used to be. But the hours and hours and hours I put into playing Madden as a kid, when it was actually like worth putting hours into.
That's EA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no surprise there.
But it used to be fucking the shit.
Dude, I really like the Madden games too, and I don't even like sports games.
So Madden's number 3.
Hell yeah. All right, my number 3 is Pokemon.
Yeah, that makes sense. I had to make sure it was still rolling because I would have been absolutely pissed.
Yeah. You know about me and Pokemon. Like, Pokemon Gold is probably the game that I've played longer than any other game. Like, literally thousands of hours. I guarantee it. Like, love it, love it, love it. That was one of the first things that we talked about when we became friends was Pokemon, and you weren't really that big of a fan, but like,
which is why it's not on my list.
And then we have like, you know, like where we played like Pokemon Stadium and stuff together all the time. Yeah, man, Pokemon rules.
I mean, to be fair, I did play a few Pokemon games growing up, but it just never was like a staple.
You usually played spin-offs though. You didn't really play the main ones. You played like Pokemon Snap and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Now this one, I'm even surprising myself by thinking of this.
Okay.
And I don't doubt myself for a second making this number 2. Because not only is it one, at least for the time, one of the most innovative gaming franchises, it was one of the number 1 gaming franchises for quite some time.
Can I take a guess?
Hang on. Yeah. Wait.
Okay.
I'll let you guess in a second.
Yeah.
But the main reason this is the number 2 on my list is because not only did I spend hours playing this and enjoying this, but it actually had a real life influence on me.
Okay.
And what do you think it is?
Okay, it's a pure guess. I might be way off. Arkham.
No.
Okay.
Now that you said that, I think I might change Crash Bandicoot to Arkham.
Okay.
Because that is one of my all-time favorite franchises. I'll do that.
Okay.
But my answer to number 2.
Okay.
Guitar Hero.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I would have never guessed that.
Guitar Hero. It actually like had a real life influence on me. Like it legitimately like made me want to be in a band.
Yeah, Guitar Hero is cool.
And it was innovative.
Have you ever seen, I guess you don't really play on computers or anything, but they have a game called Clone Hero now that you can play on your computer. You can like get like where you can hook up an actual like Guitar Hero controller to it, and then like basically it's like what you've always imagined as far as like you can go online, download any song, like people have tabbed just about any song you can possibly think of, and you can play like anything. And it's just, I mean, the same bridge, it looks exactly the same as Guitar Hero. It's pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, I'm kind of mad at myself for not thinking of the Arkham franchise now. That's got to be my number 5.
That was like my dark horse guess for you.
What did I say was my number 4? Halo?
Yeah.
Arkham's number 4.
Okay.
Halo's number 5.
Halo. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right. What are we on now? Number 2?
Yes.
My number 2 is Mario.
I mean, I already know what your next two are.
Well,
now.
you know, I mean, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Because we only have my number 1 now, and you already know what it is. But, like, for Mario, like, I don't think I need to say anything about it. You know it. You love it. Everybody loves Mario. If you think that you don't like Mario, you're lying.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Mario. The movie was cool. The games are cool. They just put out a new Mario game. It's awesome.
And my number 1 is also Mario.
I knew it would be.
Because
so back when you were saying the Madden thing and you were saying like it was fun, it's not as fun anymore.
Oh.
I bet you're going to be surprised that I'm putting this here. I'm like, if you say Mario, I'm going to fucking punch you in the dick.
Well, I mean, I think Mario falls number 1 for me for 2 main reasons. One of the main reasons being our last list, which was top 5 Mario games. We have done that.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of really good Mario games. But 2,
there really isn't any bad Mario games.
Right. The main reason it's my number 1, more than all the others, which truth be told, I probably enjoyed playing the Arkham series more than I enjoyed playing Mario.
Mm-hmm.
I probably put more hours into Madden than any other game in the history of video games that I've ever played.
Yeah.
But the staying power of Mario. I can put on a Mario game today and still be as entertained.
Have a great time.
Yeah, and still be just as entertained as I was when I was 5.
They're just so good.
And yeah, they're just exactly.
I mean, it literally saved the gaming industry pretty much single-handedly.
Well, for me personally, it's just
yeah.
It's timeless. Literally.
Yeah. We should play the new one.
And my all-time favorite video game ever is Mario 64.
God, what a great game.
So, it has to be number 1.
Has to be.
And of course, your number 1 is
The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
For every reason that you could possibly imagine. It's amazing. The magnum opus of video games.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard not to agree. Like, if we were making a list of, like, what we think are the number 1, like, the number...
Or just, like, I mean, if we were going to talk about highest grossing, but just the best gameplay, the best, like, cultural significance, the just, you know, the most influential, like, just the quintessential best video game series.
What do you think the highest grossing would be?
I can tell you.
What is it?
Pokemon.
Oh.
Pokemon is literally... Pokemon is the highest grossing media franchise across anything.
That's crazy.
There is nothing that is a bigger media giant than Pokemon.
That's wild.
Well, and you think about it, though. Like, toys, cards, games,
movies,
TV show, movies. Like, they have everything. You can buy Pokemon anything. But it is crazy to think, like, against... I mean, any other media franchise, anything. You know, any games, any movies, TV shows, cartoons.
It's got to be one of the
things think about, like, Legos. Nope, Pokemon's got that shit beat.
I bet you it's got to be the longest running children's cartoon of all time. One of them.
Well, I think SpongeBob is older.
Oh, is it? It's not still going on, is it?
I think it's still going.
SpongeBob?
I think it. Like, I don't know. It's weird. It seems like they just kind of put out episodes every once in a while. It doesn't really seem like they're like, this is our new season.
I feel like Pokemon is the Simpsons of children's cartoons.
It's hard because they definitely move faster.
Does it still count as an anime, though?
Yes, it's an anime.
Nah, then we can't. It's definitely not, right? Because isn't One Piece?
Well,
it's not the longest active, right? One Piece isn't still...
Oh, it's still going.
Is it?
I think so.
Holy shit!
I'm pretty sure it is.
It's got.
I don't know that for a fact. Though. I'm not an anime.
I mean, it's got
guy,
over
really.
1,000 episodes.
It's probably got like 1,500.
That's
at least.
Like
it just goes and goes and goes, man. But I think it's still going. But don't quote me on it. No, that one has a lot of episodes. I think it has the most, but I don't know if it's been running as long as Pokemon has. Like if we're just talking time.
Oh,
I don't know.
Interesting. Well, there you have it.
Ash finally won a you know.
Well, he
badge, beat all the people.
A gym badge.
Well, I mean, he wins badges all the time, but it's like
he won a tournament.
Yeah,
right?
like he became champion of a
right.
of a thing finally.
Well, I think
Of a region.
I think we can agree on one thing after that. He did not, in fact, become the very best.
You know what I can say about him, though?
He also did not catch them all.
Here's the thing. So he's gone to Kanto, he's gone to Johto, he's gone to Hoenn, he's gone to Sinnoh, he's gone to Unova, he's gone to Kalos, he's gone to whatever the 7th one is, he's gone to...
How many more regions can there be on this?
Well, there's 9 generations.
Oh.
So, I mean, he's gone to all of those. He's fought every single gym leader. He's fought millions of other people. He's caught thousands of Pokemon. He's raised them all. He's, done all this stuff. He's made all these friends and everything. And I gotta tell you, man, that's one hell of a 1 year of his life.
Yeah.
He's still 10.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
he's never not been 10.
I'm glad you said that because that definitely saves me from what I was going to say.
God, I know.
I'm going to say it anyway.
Go for it, man.
I was going to say everything you said. He said he's been to all these regions. He's fought all these guys. He's won
all these Pokemon. He's won all these badges. He's made all these friends.
And still no pussy.
Yeah.
But then you had to say he was 10. So.
Well, I mean...
He's 10?
Honestly, the fact that what you're saying is probably right is a good thing.
Yeah.
I would rather have it be that way.
Yeah, true that. True that. We want that. Go Ash.
We ain't doing no Jeffrey Epstein here.
No. No Jeffrey Ashstein. All right. We'll finish this up now. And you know how we're doing this. Positive motivational message from the
Jesus.
Yeah.
We go to the gym.
By the way, not to put any pressure on you. First one of the year.
Oh, cool. Okay, here's the deal. Finally, I have begun my career. I am a school counselor at senior high. Like
fucking
after all of this stuff, I have my bachelor's degree. I'm gonna have 2 master's degrees. I was going to college for almost 11 years. I've been going and going and going. And across a lot of that journey, there has been a lot of me being like, am I ever going to actually get anywhere? Am I ever going to make anyone proud? Am I going to make mom proud? Am I going to make myself? Am I going to make anyone proud? Is there any end to this? Am I going to succeed? Like, that's the point behind this entire journey. And now that I'm at this end of it, the answer to all of those questions for years and years and years, all of the stress, all of the anxiety, all of the wondering if I'm worth anything. And there was good moments too. Like after all of that, the answer to all those questions was yes. And so my motivational message is this. Sometimes the journey is long. Sometimes the winds are foul. Sometimes the sea is running high. Sometimes the ship doesn't go. But if you keep sailing, eventually you get there. So believe in yourself or something. I don't know.
So keep just believing, I guess.
Yeah. Believe in yourself.
Do you believe in life after love?
Every day's a good day when you paint.
That'd be a good motivational message.
Is that what you're looking for? Is just like a saying?
No.
Oh. Okay.
No, it's just something like genuinely from your like perspective or something.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be a quote.
All right.
Yeah, no,
regardless, scratch all the shit I said. Every day's a good day when you paint. That's my message.
Okay. And guess what? Broke 2 records today for this podcast. One, yep, you guessed it. One is most reoccurring guest, which I think you already held the record for. And 2,
I'll kill anyone.
Currently, now, the longest episode in Life's a Garden history.
Hell yeah.
Just eking out my 100th episode with my band.
Yeah.
Which was 158.
You had like
or it was an hour
5 people.
Yeah.
In that one, and now you just got me, the fucking windbag from hell.
I mean, when we get rolling, we get rolling. And
we talk about cool shit.
Yeah.
And politics.
So we had like 20 minutes of cool shit.
Yeah. 20 minutes of cool shit, 100, like, not 100. Yeah, 100 minutes of
Okay, well,
politics.
then that means next time we'll focus more on the other random
Well, it depends
stuff.
on where you have me. If it's right before election or right after election, we gotta
Well,
talk
we
about
can
it.
start with the cool stuff.
Okay.
Just to change it up.
Okay.
Or we'll dedicate an hour worth of politics talk
Mhm.
rather than going over the hour.
Okay.
So we can dedicate like 30, maybe not another hour, but
You said you wanted to do another podcast. That's what we should do. We should do a political podcast.
Oh,
and
God,
then,
I'd be
whenever I show up to this one, then we don't have to talk about it.
I feel like that would
I've
be...
wanted to do a political podcast.
I feel like I'm not the guy to do it with, though.
Well, it would be interesting because usually when you do political podcasts, it's usually people who are very, very well researched talking about
Yeah.
topics. It would be a little bit more interesting to have somebody like you, somebody like me, just chat about it.
Yeah.
Not needing to be like, yeah, here's the source, here's this, here's that, here's everything that we know for a fact, but just two regular dudes.
You know what my problem is? Like, I don't really... and that's not to say I don't care about the issues.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't involve myself enough to where, like, I am so easily like, oh yeah, that's how it is. Like, you telling me a lot of the stuff today, I'm just like, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll hear a different take, and I'll be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, yeah, it makes sense. Like, I agree.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very easily persuaded,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't a good thing. But at the same time, while I am easily persuaded, I don't necessarily, like, just act upon it. I'm just like, I'm not like, now I'm a Republican. Nope, now I'm a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like to stay in the middle.
Right.
It's a safer bet to stay in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have at least like a section of stuff that you're like
Oh,
passionate
yeah.
about. It doesn't mean that you need to be like heavily informed about everything. I mean, it's good to be informed, obviously, but it doesn't mean that you need to be a professional on everything. I'm certainly not, but I just have certain things that I care about
For sure.
in that realm.
For sure.
It's not foreign policy.
We're gone so long, it's midnight now.
Yep.
I'm just kidding.
Dude, that'd be bad.
All right.
It's actually 9, but
That's not bad.
yeah.
All right. Thank you all for listening and sticking around for this very long episode, but we're happy to do it, and we'll do it again. But for now, keep in mind, life's a garden. Dig it!
Just gotta keep on going.